Chassan and Kala walk into the Yichud room, and there's a tremendous amount of crowd outside. The Olim are singing, the Olim are freilich, it's Geschmack, everyone's clapping and singing in the Chassan and Kala. Walk into the Yichud room, and the door is closed, and the Chassan runs to the corner of the room. He has his jacket, his coat hung up in the corner, and he takes out his phone, he goes onto WhatsApp, and he just says to this Kala, just a minute please, just a second. I need to go and check my messages. I need to see, during the chuppah I wasn't able to check them, so I want to check who was Mazel Tov. It's very exciting to know who was in touch with me, who did I send, who read the message, who didn't. Could you think of any greater chutzpah than that in the Yichud room, in the Mokum HaYichud, after the Chasana, that a Chassan is only interested in that moment in his phone and nothing else. And the sad thing is that many of us do the same thing. Many of us are in a Beis Medrash, or in a Beis Knesset, or in a Mokum HaShechina. We're in a place where the Shechina resides, wants to be, wants to have a connection, wants to talk to us from the Mokum HaYichud, Yichud between us and the Rabbeinu Shalom. And all we're interested is in our phone, is in a conversation, is in with someone else. And Rabbi say, I want to spend a few minutes to understand and to possibly instill within us a little bit of Kedushas Beis HaKnesses. The Lashon of the Shulchan Aruch, Kuf Chav Dalet Tziv Zayin, is Godel Avonim in Yisod. That means the Aveira of speaking during davening is so great, it's too heavy to carry. You won't even be able to hold it. You won't even be able to hold the burden of such an Aveira of speaking. We're not talking about speaking Chas v'Shalom, Dvarim Asurim, cursing, Lashon Hara, Rechilas. We're not discussing that. That has its own Isurim. That just builds up the Yissa. We're talking about simple speaking in the middle of davening. Someone once came to Rabbi Shlomo Zalman Auerbach Zatzal, and they said, Rebbe, there's a guy in shul that we just cannot stop him from speaking. He just speaks and he speaks like he's not doing anything else. But he's speaking, he's disturbing people. We told him once, we told him twice, we told him 3 times. It's not working. What, can we hit him? Can we hit him? That was the shaila. Can we smack the guy? Shlomo Zalman said, I don't understand you. If a guy comes into shul, this is the Lashon of Shlomo Zalman, if someone comes to shul with a sledgehammer and starts smashing the walls of the shul, everyone's going to sit there and say, oh wow, what's he doing? What do you do? Are you crazy? What are you mad? You're going to hit him until he stops. So Shlomo Zalman, the person that's speaking in davening, is destroying the shul. He's possibly destroying the actual walls. The Shechina will no longer be here. So Shlomo Zalman. What a terrible thing. I want to read you a letter. I might have read this before, but I want to read it again. It's a very powerful letter which I cut out from a magazine a number of years ago. It was 2013. This letter was printed. And the letter goes like this. It talks about a certain sect of Hasidim. It doesn't make a difference now which one. And he says, your article about these Hasidim and their Rebbe very much got my interest. He says, I'm a Baal Tshuva. In fact, the only member of my family who's Orthodox is me. I became religious after researching my family history and discovering that my great-great-grandfather was a Rav in Poland, and therefore I decided to search even more and I became religious. Our family, which owns and operates one of the largest independent Broadway theater chains in New York City, respects my religious interests, and obviously despite the initial resistance, Baruch Hashem, they have embraced my lifestyle, and Baruch Hashem, I married a Jewish lady and I have a beautiful family. I write to you because of 2 sentences in your article, 2 sentences which more than any other place put these Hasidim, whichever they are, in a league of their own. One which related to the decorum of the general congregation, and it says as follows: that the tefillahs by these Hasidim are conducted in an atmosphere of tremendous awe without any conversation whatsoever going on in the middle of davening. And the second one is about latecomers. Anyone who wasn't there for brachas at the beginning of davening couldn't just join the minyan at a later stage. He said, I live out of town, and I recently spent a Shabbos in a large, well-known Orthodox community. It was a wonderful experience. All the people I met there were very friendly and welcoming. What surprised me, or should I say what shocked me, was the lack of decorum in the various shuls that I attended. I davened in 3 different shuls, Friday night, Shabbos morning, and Shabbos afternoon. The mixed seating temple that I used to go to as a teenager was tame compared to what I experienced on that Shabbos. The conversation that I overheard were incredible. From sports to business to one guy's dating experience. There was one fellow who asked, there was someone sitting opposite him, I was told later this someone is a judge, for advice on a lease dispute his client is having with his landlord. He did, of course, preference his conversation by saying, Nish Shabbos Gerekt. The rabbi in one shul did make a little bit of an effort to try get the schmoozing down without any success. Another fascinating element that I witnessed, specifically Shabbos morning, that although davening started at 9, the shul was only full at 9:30. To add insult to injury, upon arrival, many of those people who came late first engaged in conversation with their neighbor who had already begun davening. Obviously, the Rebbe of this Hasidim that he was talking about had very, very incredible Hasidim, and they figured it out. One wonders what the rest of us are still pondering. Please don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to badmouth any religious peers, but in our industry, almost nobody comes late to the show and everyone is silent during the show. But then again, the doors of the theatre close at 8 p.m. sharp, and anyone talking during the performance is politely shown the door by the theatre manager. Some food for thought about his experience. I remember seeing in my mokim that when a person is talking in davening, again we're talking about simple chatting, simple normal talking, he stops the tefillahs of that shul going up to Shomayim. So that means if you decide that you want to talk, you're being selfish on everybody else's cheshbon, and everybody else has a tefillah that they want to go up to Kisai Kovod. They're looking for shidduchim, they're looking for health, they're looking for parnasa, they're looking for all the wonderful brachas in the world, and by you talking, what you are doing is you are simply being selfish and stopping all those tefillahs of your chaverim in that shul from going up to Kisei HaKavod and being answered by the Rabbi Shalom. Rabbi say, can we think of a worse thing than that? It's terrible. It's something that we have to start to be makabel on ourselves. It's something that we have to start to do. Yes, it's difficult in the beginning, but if we get used to it, it can actually happen. There was a Ma'aseh in Yerushalayim not long ago when there was a Yid who collapsed and Hatzalah walked in and they tried to resuscitate him. They saw it wasn't happening. One of the Hatzalah members got up and he said, Rabbi Say, it's an Eis Ratzon. If everybody gets up and is makabel on themselves not to talk in davening, I guarantee you we're going to see Hatzlacha. And they all got up and the whole shul said, yes, we're being makabel. We're not talking in davening. They found this very light, faint heartbeat. They worked on him. In 15 minutes. Eventually they were able to revive him. He went to a hospital. He danced at his daughter's chatzna, which was 2 weeks later after that. Rabbi Say, the gewaldige schus of not speaking in davening is incredible for our own tefillahs, for the schus of the Beis Medrash, for the Shechina, and for everybody else's tefillahs and everybody else's health as well. Be'ez Hashem, the Rabban Shem should give us siyata d'shmaya to try to be makabel on ourselves as much as we can, and Be'ez Hashem, all our tefillahs should be answered.